to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have Netflix 345th film from 2021. It's the Swedish drama called Red Dot. This one's directed by Alain Darborg and stars Nanna Blondell, Anastasios Soulis, Tomas, Hanzon, Johannes Bah Kuhnke, Kalled, Mustonen, and Tomas Bergstrom. I am Jesse and I'm your host. Thank you for joining me today for this one. As always, if this is a film you haven't seen and you're keen on checking out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on because we will spoil this as we go. We do kick the show off with the fast flick, so let's do a quick little summary of what it's all about. So this one's about a couple who go away on a trip to rekindle their relationship, but something lurks waiting for them. This one is an international film, so as always, sometimes sometimes they're very different words, but it's most of the time very hard to find anything about how this film ended up on Netflix. So this is probably going to be a pretty short episode, but it does have some translations around the world. So in French, it's called Moving Targets. In Chinese, it's called Deadly Red Dot. In Japanese, it's called Red Light Spot. And in Polish, it's called The Crosshairs. And in Turkish, it's called Danger Point. So these are all titles that refer to red dot, and the red dot that you see from a sniper's gun, I guess is the best way of putting it. So it only plays a small role in the film, realistically. The film was announced as a Netflix film at the Stockholm Film Festival on the 14th of November 2019. Apparently, this is Netflix's first Swedish film. I feel like that's wrong. I saw that in multiple articles and on IMDb. I'm sure we've done a Swedish film before, but I mean, with 350 episodes in, I can't remember, and I can't be bothered going back through and looking at them all. It did make the top 10 of Netflix charts in its first week, but then dropped off. So this one did hit Netflix on the 11th of February 2021. It was filmed in Rättvik in Sweden, as well as in Norway as well. It did have one nomination at the Guldbagge Awards for Best Makeup. And we lead into what are the critics and audiences saying about this film. So on Rotten Tomatoes, it sits at 75%. That's on 12 reviews, so that is fresh. The audience is the complete opposite end, though. The audience has it at 32%. That's on more than 100 ratings. IMDb, it's got a 5.5 out of 10, so not too bad. That's on 15,000 ratings. Letterboxd, a little bit lower, 2.5 out of 5 on 13,500 ratings. It's actually been logged by 18,000 people. And on Metacritic, it only has an audience score, no critic score, on that traffic light system of red, yellow, or green. It sits in the middle at yellow, 5.1 out of 10. That's on 9 reviews. What are my early thoughts on this one? What am I thinking? The short runtime, this does have a very short runtime. It makes it very viewable. It does have a lot of formulaic issues, that films possibly have when they have characters running through isolated locations, being chased through the woods. But it does have some good twists that make it enjoyable enough. So I'm happy with this one. This one's not too bad. Let's talk about the character. So like I said in the start, this is about a relationship between two characters, Nadja and David. So, it's about their relationship, and we see they get engaged, they make sacrifices to be together, they fall pregnant, but things do start to get wobbly in their relationship. So David organises a trip away. Nadja, she's a medical student. This does come in handy in the film, spoiler alert, but she's frustrated because she's obviously pregnant, she's still studying, she's trying to do the right thing, and David's a bit of a slob. He's a workaholic, I guess, that doesn't pull his weight because he works, comes home, just wants to play video games, sit on the couch, doesn't fix things around the house, those sorts of things. And as a character, we see that he's constantly running away from things. He never actually owns up to what's going on or what's happening in the world around him. This is heading very heavily into spoiler territory, but the only other character I'm going to talk about is Tomas, and he is Nadja and David's neighbor, who we see as a very caring and loving guy when they're living in their house. But as you sort of discover throughout the film, this is a guy who is hell-bent on revenge. He's moved in because he wanted to get close to them. He's been stalking them, and he wanted to get them out into the woods. And that's where this film goes. Why does he need them in the woods? What's happened? Let's talk about the director, Alain Darborg. So Swedish, obviously, 15 directing credits, lots of TV, some shorts, some miniseries, nothing I've heard of. So anyway, we'll continue on to the scenes. What are some scenes that stood out? What are some ones that didn't necessarily work? So some good ones. The couple, they're setting up their tent, sort of gone out, the Nordic lights. They're trying to see, beautiful skies, freezing cold. And David didn't bring the instructions to set the tent up. And then there's some joke about the instructions being up his ass. And then he makes this comment along the lines of like, whenever I ask for it up there, I don't get it. I thought that was funny and very random for what we'd seen from the film so far. David getting shot was funny. I know it's probably not meant to be funny, but then the follow-up, it just, all these things happen. Naja, she's on cracking ice, and then David falls into the ice, and then she puts her head in a few times. It just made me laugh. They're running. The couple are running. They find this little cave to hide in from this guy who's got a gun. And then there's a bear in the cave. And then Nadia shoots a flare out at the guy that's chasing them, and then he catches on fire. Just humorous. This isn't meant to be a comedy, but I'm looking at the scenes that I liked, and they're the ones that made me laugh. Here we go. Here's a serious one. Thomas, the pain that he felt from losing a kid. That was very real and well done through police interviews and flashbacks and shower scenes. I thought that was nicely done. A gross scene, I guess, that sort of stood out, not necessarily because I liked it, but I thought it was well done. Thomas is trying to get David to use a drill to go into Nadia's stomach with the child in it. Like, I haven't felt that icky in a long time. It was just a real effective move. The final twist, they left David alive so he could feel the pain of losing a child. I thought that was a pretty wild way to end the film. And I've got to mention, the scenery throughout is very lovely. They picked some really good locations to film this movie. What didn't I like? I guess the love song dedication on radio, and then a marriage proposal from David calling in while he's in the toilet while Nadia's sitting in the restaurant outside. I thought that was a bit weird. Nadia vomiting in the basin, like straight away, it's like, oh, she's pregnant. And then she reveals it in the next line anyway. Just some poor storytelling. When the couple, they're checking at this motel out in the middle of nowhere, up north. The lady at the counter at the desk, she's racist. She refuses to serve them. And then the guy comes out and he claims we're not racist, but then starts talking about Chinese people in a bad way. I just didn't like the way that people talk like that. I mean, if this is representing what people in the north of Sweden are like, then I get it. But again, what are they doing to comment on this? These people don't get any other mention in the film. They're just there to say that stuff. David rips his arm, he gets his arm stuck in this like bear trap sort of thing, and it was all good because Nadia's there and she's going to be a doctor in 4 years, so she can patch him up. So that's quite ridiculous. David, he gets a gun at one stage and he tells Nadia it's okay because he relates it to the video games he always plays, Battlefield, and he's like, it takes 10 seconds to reload because I saw that in the video game. I thought that was really poor dialogue. And finally, the fact that they killed this kid, we see that they killed Thomas's kid, they ran him over because Nadia was too busy trying to masturbate David in the car while he was driving. Like, come on, come up with something better. Like, it's just, I don't know, not needed. Anyway, what's the film trying to say? What are some themes, some ideas, some motifs? I think that the idea of owning up for your mistakes, that's very important. David has this opportunity twice. If you're watching the film, he's an easy sacrifice or an obvious sacrifice, and we know that doesn't eventuate because that idea that, you can't move on without accepting or dealing with what you've done. So, kind of effective there. Revenge on multiple accounts through multiple characters, but obviously revenge, it doesn't necessarily always work out well. I've sort of touched on this too. Racism in the Nordic areas. What's the film trying to actually say about that? Like, how can we fix that? And justice too. That idea of almost like a vigilante-esque form of justice. The horrors of humanity and what humans are willing or capable to do to get their justice or what they feel like is justice in themselves too. What did I take away from this one? I think the flashbacks that were used throughout the film, so you knew there was going to be some sort of reveal. I'm not 100% sold they were effective because I know they were obviously needed to make sure that the twist at the end didn't feel completely off, but I'm not sure they were done right. I'm not sure they gave away enough information to sort of be warranted in the way that they appeared. So just a little observation from me for that one. Some other questions, some pondering, some thoughts, some ideas. I think this plays a role in the film too. How do you know if you're going to be a good parent? It's a tough situation, the 9 months that you've got to wait for a child to be born. And I guess you don't know if you're going to be a good parent. That's the excitement of it. You've got to grow and learn and adapt and work out how to do that too. They have a dog called Boris. Poor Doris. Poor Doris. Boris. I can't even say his name, Boris. I mean, he didn't deserve any hurt. I sort of feel bad for the dog. If you're a dog lover, this film might not be for you. I'm not going to explain what happened, but if you like dogs, maybe not for you. And then, there are so many moments in the film that just don't make sense too, which are a little bit frustrating. I think the clearest one, or none worse than this, is when a guy chases them. This is that scene I sort of thought was where they were stuck in the cave with the bear. They shoot him, get him on fire, and then he had a ski-mobile that they just left and then went by foot instead when they're already both so pregnant, injured, etc. It was just a bad plot miss. Anyway, let's wrap this up. We give the film a rating out of 5. For me, I think, it doesn't bring anything new to the genre, but it's worth watching. The scenery's good, the performances, a few of the twists hit well, even if they're probably pretty easily worked out. It's not going to be for everyone because it is pretty grisly and leaves a mark right on that final shot. I'm still giving this a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 is solid for me. We're on socials. We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, and we have X, formerly known as Twitter. The question that I want to ask is that, does David actually go on to live? The final shot is him sort of left there in the snow, pretty down and out. Is he going to be okay? What does he do? Does he amend for his sins? I'm not sure. I think he's going to have a very tough life ahead of him. We usually say, cool, we'll see you next week, but this is where I have a bit of a surprise. If you've been listening to us during December, you're probably thinking, don't they usually do Podmas, where we usually do an episode every day in the lead up to Christmas? It's a pretty crazy idea. This year's been a bit busy, so I couldn't commit to doing an episode every day of December in the lead up to Christmas. So instead, I'm going to do the 12 Days of Christmas. A lot of you probably know that song, the 12 Days of Christmas. The actual behind it, I guess, it's obviously a Christian sort of idea. It's the period that marks the span between the birth of Christ and the arrival of the 3 wise men, and this begins on Christmas Day. So on the 25th of December, and it runs through till the 6th of January or the 5th of January. Just because we're about to celebrate Christmas doesn't mean that we're going to stop. So I'm going to give it a crack. We're going to see how we go. The gift for you guys is that we're going to have 12 extra episodes starting Christmas Day. So that's only a couple of days away. And we're going to have an episode out every day heading in and over New Year as well. So busy time of year. Hopefully we can do it. If you're listening along and you haven't, I haven't made it, I'm sorry, but I'm going to give it a crack. So on Christmas Day, we're bringing you a film from 2021, which is a Polish rom-com called Squared Love, or in Polish, it's Miłosek de Kwadatu. That's horrible. I apologize. It's directed by Filip Zybler and stars Adriana Klebica and Masur Banasuk. That's what we've got. Another international film. I'm excited. It's the festive season. Let's be happy. Let's be friendly. Let's try and get you a couple of episodes of extra happiness over the Christmas stage. And I will see you on Christmas Day.